Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in to the BAMF podcast. Tonight, we are very honored to have Mel Todd, author, joining us. Hey, Mel.
Hey.
Thanks for making it. Give me 1 second. I have to play our contractually obligated cheesy musical intro. Just 1 second. That's enough of that. Gentle listener, that assures you that you are now listening to a high quality, high production values podcast. So, Mel, thanks you for coming on. Just to set the table for some of our listeners. Hey, we see some folks, in the comment section. Please say hi. Our publishing wing, Fading Goat Press, is putting out a series of e-zines called Blaster Bolts. And you were kind enough to write the story that we ran in issue number 10. Let me pull up. A friend of ours, John Gibbons, did this cover.
Love the cover.
I really like it too. Kind of a pulpy sci-fi western called Flame to the Rescue. And this was a great story. I was really happy when I read this one. And so we asked Mel if she would come on and talk to us about her story and about writing in general. And here she is. So thanks for coming on. We appreciate that.
Yeah, no, this is actually really cool. I can't wait to talk about this stuff because, writing is kind of what I do.
I try to make time for it myself. But we were talking about this specific story earlier, just to kind of focus in. You mentioned you were a big fan of the pulps growing up, right?
Mm-hmm. I actually own all of the Doc Savages up to episode, depending on how you want to look at it, 101. I've read all of the Tarzans except for one. There is one book called Tarzan and the Tarzan Twins that is a kid's book that is watercolor illustrated that I've never been able to track down. So someday I'm going to buy that book. So, Conan, all of that stuff.
Nice. So, out of curiosity, what did you think of the last Tarzan adaptation?
Which one? The one with Kierkegaard?
Yes, I think so.
Yes. Yummy.
Okay.
But the plot was kind of... I find it sad that for all of the books that ERB wrote, they keep returning back to like the first one or two. I would love to see him do one of the Jewels of Opar books. That would be insanely awesome. Or some of the other stuff that involves other stories in the world besides just Tarzan and Jane. Opar was fascinating to read about. There's Tarzan and the Ant-Man, which was fun. Then you could always get into all of the Pellucidar stuff. Yes, I am a huge Edgar Rice Burroughs fan, but his stuff was wonderful.
I've read much less than you. You are schooling me here, but yeah, great writer, a lot of fun. And Dale, thanks for weighing in. That is a great cover. That's from our friend Judd Gibbons across the pond. This is kind of a classic Western in a lot of ways that you wrote for us.
Yeah.
So have you played in that genre before, or was that new territory for you?
For the most part, it was new territory. I had never written a story like that, but I kind of refreshed myself on how the pulps went, and then I just went, okay, what can I do to make this different? Because that's what every good author does, is they take something familiar and make it different. And lots of the old Westerns and the pulp stuff always had the woman sitting at home waiting for her man to come back or waiting for rescue. And so I decided to flip it and make it so that she's the one doing the rescuing and everybody is sitting around waiting for her. And then you just change horses into motorcycles or hover cycles and stagecoaches into spaceships and helpless damsels into anatomically correct androids.
Well, it was a really entertaining story, and thanks again for writing that for us. We've got the link for that issue of Blaster Bolts, which you can obtain for the princely sum of 99 cents right now. And you can also follow Mel at Badash Books on Twitter. And you've been writing this was far from you. You've got a long writing career before you ever met us. Could you talk a little bit about what what if science fiction was new for you? What is your usual wheelhouse?
No. So back in 2013, I published a couple romances as my first novels.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was working on it. I'm not quite sure why I focus so hard on romances, except that other writers that I knew were writing mostly romances, erotica, and I joined Romance Writers of America. And then in 2016, life kind of kicked me in the teeth. And when I came out of that, I went, yeah, no, I'm not writing romances anymore. This isn't going to happen. And I walked into my library and I looked at a library full of science fiction, full of fantasy, full of, TSR novels, gaming guides and stuff. And I went, I have been reading this stuff my entire life. Why in the world am I not writing it? And I started writing it, and I haven't even looked back because this is where my home and my first love is. I write my first series under Mel Todd was a urban science fiction series because I wanted to play with. So again, longtime gamer. You always read these things about shifters, and I have played a lot of White Wolf. I love Werewolf the Apocalypse.
I'm right there with you, and that's the first edition. That's where I was playing that. Yeah.
Yep. But I always hated this. They hide in the shadows, and nobody can know about them, and the whole fated mate stuff. And I'm going, I want a story where shifters are forefront in the world. You can't miss them. And I went, okay, how do I do this without magic? Because even though I'm writing a magic series right now, I have very strong opinions about how easy magic is to abuse. So I tried to figure out a way to write sci-fi shifters. And the Kaylee Chronicles that you're looking at now, if you scroll down a little bit more, was basically what I did. I wrote shifters that were based on science. And I had a lot of fun doing it because it happened across the entire globe. There was no hiding it. It was people trying to deal with the social changes, the dietary changes, the way you view things change, and society changed as all of this came to light. And it was just a lot of fun to write.
That
And I
sounds really.
got to be a cat.
Well, who wouldn't want to do that?
Exactly.
That sounds really interesting. So, how many books do you have in that series?
I have 5 full-length novels and then 4 novellas. And the novellas kind of slot in between the novels to help expand on the stories.
Mm-hmm.
And they tend to be character pieces, so you can understand where this character is coming from and what their backstory is before they get thrown into the main story.
Okay, that's interesting. Was that a big adjustment, switching genres?
No,
Okay.
it was kind of like coming home, if that makes sense. Like I'd been just wearing something that didn't quite fit right.
Mm-hmm.
And I started writing this. I'm like, wow, I'm an idiot. Why wouldn't I write what I love to read and always have? I mean, I could sit here all night and talk to you about the classic sci-fi and fantasy authors, about the up and comings, about the stuff that I read in high school, because I was the kid who I didn't ask my mom for clothes or music. I asked for books.
Nice. What are you reading right now?
I just finished a really awesome trilogy by Robert Kearns. I'm pretty sure it's Kearns. And it starts with Smilodon. It's a shifter urban fantasy. It is so well written. He turns into a Smilodon, which I find hilarious because one of my characters did. But it grabbed me. I read the first book that I got via a story bundle. And I read the first one and went, okay, yeah, I want more of this. Oh, look, you have 2 more. Bye bye.
Mm-hmm.
And I've read all 3 of them in about the space of 5 days because I only have so much time for reading.
Mm-hmm.
But they're really fun. The other one that I'm going to get back to probably tomorrow, maybe if I have time, is called the Confectioner's Guild, and it's kind of a fantasy set in medieval Italy where you have guilds of people who can do magic through their cooking, through their baking, through their making wine and stuff. And it's a really light, clean story. It was just really cute and a different world building than what I had seen before.
That is interesting. I'm writing that down right now, by Claire Luna.
Yes.
I'll check that out later. That is pretty cool. I'm doing most of my reading on audiobooks these days. Just having a kid and all the driving around you do for and a day job.
So I got really lucky. My day job basically 2 years ago said, nope, work from home. And then they wanted us to start coming back to the office. And I went, yeah, no, I have some commitments that make it unable for me to do this. So I work from home, or you fire me. I don't care. And they went, no, work from home. But the drive, because I had a horrible commute, it was 3 hours a day.
Oh,
That
Jesus.
was when I listened to all of my audiobooks.
Mhm.
And at home, I almost never have time to listen to audiobooks because I'm writing or I'm editing or I'm working or I'm trying to rush to get household chores done before I can get back to doing the writing or the editing.
Understand. Yeah, it's I get a lot of audiobooks on the train or driving to pick my kids up from various places. So I completely sympathize.
I'm actually looking forward to a couple uh, long car trips. And yes, he is anatomically correct. He has a very specific anatomical purpose. But I'm looking forward to getting a couple trips later this year, so I actually have time to listen to audiobooks.
I don't feel like I feel like I'm cheating, but I mean it is a way to, and just, hey, Jason Wyndham, thanks for saying hi, guy. Yeah, it's how I keep up with stuff these days, and I used to be snobby and look down at people who did audiobooks because it's not real reading, but it's the only way I have time to do anything other than just technical reading for work these days. So
Well, what I love, and I found it very interesting, is that if I'm working, I can't listen to an audiobook because either I'm focused on the work and I tune out the audiobook, or I focus on the audiobook and I'm not doing my work. So that doesn't, you know, I have to do both. But I love the fact that when I'm driving, I can be 100% focused on the road. I'm not distracted. And yet I am totally into that story. It's like it's two different levels of my brain. Me driving is one level and listening to the story is another. So for me, it's like this perfect match of how well all of it goes together. But I'm also very happy, especially given gas prices at this moment. This is, the 26th of May, 2022. I am very glad not to be driving because gas sucks.
yeah, it's really terrible these days. It's I can't remember. I guess about 15 years ago, I remember a period of time where it was this high. But yeah, interesting times, as they say. So,
Yeah.
speaking of, that's a horrible segue I'm going into. Forgive me. I wanted to make sure I worked in the sale you have going on this weekend, and I was trying to do that very awkwardly. So let's just do a blunt force segue right into it. What is the sale you have this weekend, Mel?
Well, here, I will give you a good segue.
Okay.
So my best-selling series right now is called Twisted Luck. And Twisted Luck is a urban fantasy universe where magic is out in the open, it's regulated, it's controlled. And I have book 6 that should be coming out next month. Editor's blessing, I hope. So to help kickstart it, we have My Luck, which is book 1 in the series, on sale for 99 cents right now on Amazon. Now, this is in KU, so if you want to read it, it's there. But right now, that series, all but one book, has over 1,000 reviews on it. So it's really a very popular series. I have lots of people that are looking forward to it. I've basically spent all day waiting for our interview, doing editing on book 6, having to rewrite entire chapters and sobbing to my tea as I do that. But yeah, we figured we'd do that. And then probably when book 6 comes out, we'll have another big kickoff. And then you can always sign up for my newsletter. One of the cool things about my newsletter is I do little micro short stories in every newsletter. So I grab a random picture that I've bought off of Big Stuff, and then I write a short story about it. And they're usually about 250, 300 words. But basically, every newsletter, you get a unique and new short story. And I mean short.
Microfiction, I got you.
Yes.
Then I was amiss as a host. I should have asked you for a link to your newsletter before we got started. How do people
It's
follow
right there. See the black square up there at the top of the screen?
you? Newsletter right in the corner. Gotcha. Let me go over there and open a new tab. And okay, cool. Just badpublishing.com/newsletter. Okay, so they go to bad-publishing.com. They can find it right there in the upper right-hand corner. Okay, cool.
I'm not hiding it, please. I want people to sign up. It makes life easier.
They say that's one of the best marketing things you can do as a creative is get a newsletter for your more devoted fans.
I tell you, the people who read my newsletter probably know more about my personal life right now than most of my friends do. Because I'll like tell them everything that's going on, why I'm so behind, and then like, I'm sorry, here's a short story.
It'd be nice if George Martin was doing that these days. Sorry, I'm so far behind. Hey, here's a short story.
Yes, exactly.
Well,
Well, see, and I told them, I'm like, it has been a long time. It has been over 6 months since I've published a book. And normally I'm publishing a book every 3 to 4 months because I tend to write relatively fast. I had, in the space of 6 months, have my mother fall and break her pelvis twice, once on
Jesus.
each side.
Oh, I'm
So-
sorry to hear that. I hope she's doing better.
She's doing better, but it just means that I've done a lot of full-time caregiving on top of working full-time, on top of trying to write full-time, plus, chores, garden, and my mother. So they've heard all about the trials and tribulations of wanting to strangle your mother because she refused to use her walker.
My father just had a similar experience back in December, so I can relate to at least some of that.
Yeah, it's like, please don't fall. Falling's bad.
It's odd when you have to parent the parent. It's a weird dynamic.
It is. It is extremely discomforting.
Yeah. He was falling a lot for a while. You know what? We're here to talk about your writing.
Yeah,
about
we
my
can
dad's
always go into other things.
Elder care is a whole other podcast we can go into.
Yes,
So,
it is.
all right. So my luck is on sale this weekend. The link is in the comments, and we're running it below. Can you tell us a little bit about this series as a jumping on point, or this book as a jumping on point?
Yeah, this book is probably the roughest from a read standpoint, simply because I don't write big bads. I don't know why I don't write big bads, mainly because I find life is hard enough without needing to have somebody actively out to kill you most of the time. So this is Corey Monroe. She has weird stuff that happens to her all the time, but she knows she can't be a mage for various reasons. And we all know that when you absolutely know something, you refuse to see anything else. Well, her world is very unusual. Like I said, everybody knows about mages. They are all regulated, they're tested, they're basically tattooed. They all have tattoos on the right side of their head that tells you what sort of mage they are. So that it's the equivalent of the Old West and walking down the street with a gun. You want to see that that person has the ability to kill you because it does keep people extremely polite. And so this is book one into the series. Now, one of the interesting things is this series, and actually my Caled series, there's no romance subplot. There's no sex. There are relationships. She has best friends. She has found family. There are people around her who have emotional and romantic and sexual relationships. But Corey herself is asexual. She's like, cool, have fun, not interested. And she really is. And that's basically how she is going to go through her entire life is she gets why other people like it. And she's like, yeah, no, it doesn't do anything for her. She fulfills her emotional needs with her best friend, with her familiar that she gets in book 2, who is a kick. And the other interesting thing, at least I think it is, and I've had people say this, is it's not her. This book starts with her at 19. Book 2, she's 21. Book 3, she's 24. Book 5, she's 27. Actually, no, probably 28, almost 30. And when I start book 7, she will be probably in her mid 30s. So she is actively aging as we go. And one of the things I've worked really hard about is the stuff that she thought at 19 and 20 as a 30 and 40-year-old, she's like, yeah, no, it doesn't work that way. Just because people change.
Yeah, you ever wonder what it'd be like to have a conversation? Well, I guess reading your book is kind of like that. You can see someone's point of view and perspectives change. But, you look back and think about the things that you thought when you were, the age she was in her first book. Like, man, what was wrong with me? Why did I think I knew everything?
Yes. We never realized how stupid we are until we got old.
More's the pity. But Well, hey, this sounds really interesting. You can pick it up this weekend for once again the princely sum of 99 cents, which is a steal.
I mean, if you
So
can't afford 99 cents, dear God, send me an email and I'll send it to you because really, 99 cents. Or Kindle Unlimited, in which it's part of your monthly fee.
and we've got that's tinyurl.com/myluckbook, or you can find it on Mel's Amazon page, which is easy enough to find as well. How are you liking as a working author the Amazon Unlimited thing or the Kindle Unlimited thing? Does that work out well for you to get new readers?
Um,
Or
for right now, yeah. I will say that I've just pulled Kaled Chronicles out
Mhm.
of Unlimited, mainly because I am rebranding the series. I have a great new cover that we're working on doing. And so all of the series will be rebranded with these new, much more urban fantasy style covers.
Mhm.
And then once I get that done, I'm going to go wide with them and just see how it works. But for the most part, going KU, especially for the urban fantasy stuff, has actually done me really well. And in fact, one of the big things that I'm finding interesting is I contracted with a publisher and he is translating my Twisted Luck series into German. And so
Oh,
the first two are up available on the German market in German. And so that's the other thing that I've been watching happen is seeing it get more popular as the books come out. Uh, book two came out May 9th.
mhm.
Book three should come out the first week or so of June.
That must be a really interesting experience. Well, how's the translation process been for you?
Honestly, the publisher basically is paying me a percentage and he deals with all of it. And so
Okay.
I'm pretty much just trusting him that he's doing a good job because my German is extremely limited. I can say please, thank you, and count to 10.
Mm, mm. Schneeflocke is snowflake, so you got that now too.
Das ist nicht gut.
Das ist nicht gut.
Ein bitte. The problem is I know like basic phrases in like 3 or 4 languages, and so I'll flip between German, Spanish, and Italian,
Mm.
and I'm like, excuse. Oh wait, that's the wrong language. Which one am I supposed to be in at the moment?
It can be awkward when you're traveling. I tried to speak
Yes,
German in Poland, and whoo, they don't like that. They're still upset about some history over there. But
I can't imagine why.
yeah,
Actually, when I traveled to Norway, Norway was probably the most interesting, and I couldn't get much past the "please, thank you, I'm lost" sort of stuff because I try very hard when I travel to a foreign country to at least be able to be polite in their
mhm,
language. So I'm sitting there with Duolingo and looking at things and learning how to say basic phrases in most languages when I travel.
mhm.
I wish that I was like one of those people who could just learn a language, but I have the biggest mental stumbling block over gender specific articles.
It is a
I
challenge.
can't do it. I'm like going, what do you mean? Is that a male or a female? I don't know. It's a couch. How am I supposed to know what gender it is? It's a couch. Yeah, I have huge issues with that.
So when were you in Norway?
I was in Norway in 2017. We went to Norway and Sweden. And then in 2018, I went to Mexico. And 2019, it was Italy.
Oh,
We went to
nice.
Rome and Venice.
Oh, wow. Well traveled. That's great. I'm suspecting you probably want to get back to that now that restrictions are lifting.
Please. I've been going a little bit stir crazy. Um, One of my friends is actually headed to France and Italy for the 20 Books to 50K conference. And I was like, I can't. I want to. I want to so bad. Then until my mother's better, I just can't. But I am planning to next year. I am hoping I will be doing this writing gig full time. I am planning on hitting the world with my bags packed and seeing how far I can go.
Nice, nice. Well, best of luck to you. And like I said, thanks again for writing that great story for us for Blaster Bolts. And we're, without going into too many of the details and getting off subject, love to have you write a sequel to it for Volume 2 in 2023, if you're game for that.
Absolutely. I will put it on my very long to do list.
All right, fabulous. Once again, you can get Mel's issue for the rock bottom price, 99 cents, tinyurl.com/Mel's issue. And was there anything else you'd like to cover before we wrap things up, Mel?
Other than the fact that I will be at two cons later this year, I will be at LibertyCon at the middle of June,
Hmm.
and I will be at DragonCon in Atlanta. So I'll be
Oh,
on panels. I'm an attending professional, so I will definitely be around between being on panels and the Fantasy Gather Friday night where I actually sell books.
oh, nice. Okay. First time back to cons in a couple years, I'm guessing.
No, I went to DragonCon last year. They
Okay.
were open, and they did not have a con in 2019, but they did in 2020, and I went, and I needed it so badly. I had forgotten how much I needed cons as my, few social interactions a year.
All right. So LibertyCon is when?
LibertyCon, well, LibertyCon's a closed.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Professionals
it's
only.
not closed. It sells out. It
Oh,
sells
gotcha,
out in
gotcha.
20 minutes. It's a
Okay.
limited membership, whereas Dragon Con is they'll sell as
Everybody.
many tickets as they can sell.
Yeah. So when
But
Dragon Con
Labor Day
is
weekend.
okay, okay. I knew it was sometime in the summer. I haven't
Yeah,
been
Labor
back.
Day weekend.
Okay. So Labor Day weekend, Dragon Con. You can go see Mel and buy her books, or you can follow her on Twitter at Badass Publishing. Or
This is going to make me go do tweets. I almost never do
sorry.
tweets. I have to go say something interesting. Yeesh.
It's I got a love-hate relationship with Twitter. It can be fun and engaging. I mean, in that it occupies a lot of your time and you can have interesting conversations. I'm not sure if it drives customers to storefronts at all, but it can be kind of a fun time waster.
Well, I know I'm trying to get my TikTok going.
Hmm.
So here's the big dark secret.
Hmm.
I'm my day job involves a lot of IT stuff. So
Hmm.
I look at TikTok with this reaction. So when I upgraded my phone, I kept my old iPhone 8. I have
Hmm.
wiped it. I have scrubbed everything and I put TikTok on it. So I have a phone with no cell, only Wi-Fi, and that's what I do my TikTok on. But if you look, you can find me under Mel Todd author on TikTok. I'm slowly trying to do things, but it's definitely not oh, hey, this is fun. It's more of the whole, okay, you want me to do what? When? Why? Yeah,
I
I'm
have
working on it.
I've heard from a lot of creatives that they're doing marketing on Instagram and TikTok, and I haven't delved into it myself. I'm always kind of curious because all the stuff I see from those two venues are, people dancing for the camera or doing weird pranks or, that kind of thing. So I'd be curious to see how that
Singing the
works.
Wellerman. I've listened to the Wellerman song multiple times, and I really enjoy it every single time. So I'm not going to argue, but
I didn't know that existed till my kid's piano teacher played that for him a few months back, and that's been playing at my house pretty much every day since. So
yep. Oh,
yeah,
you're probably almost sick of it at this point.
there were worse songs to have your kid hooked on.
Yes.
At least it's not, it's Friday by What's Her Name 10 years ago. But yeah, it's it'll be okay when it's gone. I've been reading a Moby Dick, or the junior classic version of Moby Dick to kind of
Uh-huh.
leapfrog off that. So try to make the best of it. So anyway, it has been a real pleasure talking to you, and
Yes, no, it was fun.
we will look forward to talking to you in the future, seeing what you're up to. And everyone, make sure you follow Mel and buy her books. And thanks again for writing for us for Blaster Bolts. And we'll catch everyone next time on the Banff Podcast.
Bye.